Hi there. Welcome, guys. Welcome to this week's episode of Let's Voice It Out. I know I'm saying it normal. One of my friends called me out and they were like, this is not voice it out. It's let's voice it. I was like, girl. She's like, yeah, Faithy out there busy saying let's voice it. Shout out to supportive friends, guys. We need friends like those. So welcome to Let's Voice It Out. This week's episode is something that I've actually been meditating on for a very long time. I think for the past week or two, when I had this message in my heart. Yeah, child. So here goes a lot. I almost said here goes nothing, but this is not nothing. The word of God is not nothing. So I was thinking, is God really enough for you? Is God really enough for you? Right. So as I've been meditating on these things, I've had instances and stuff that come to my head and then like statements and I'm like, because I'm asking myself these questions because I'm like, I live for the Lord. This life is not my own, it's His. And He does what He wills with my life. And I give Him the authority. I've opened that door and I've surrendered myself like that. So sometimes I might not do what I'm supposed to do, but then I always come back and repent because I've surrendered myself like that. Like, Lord, this life is yours. So now I think, and I'm like, okay, I say God is enough, but is He really? Because many of the times we sing songs like, Jireh, you are enough, right? Or songs like Jeso Ontikane. I don't know if I said it right for the Swana people. I'm sorry. Jeso Ontikane basically means you are enough for me. Jesus is enough for me. Um, Sometimes we even decide to go over the top, right? And we say you are more than enough. We put a little spice. We put a little spice and we're like, Papa God, you are more than enough. Ne? But what does that mean? Okay, so before I asked if you mean it, before I ask you if you mean that statement, I've got notes, guys. I've got notes because I've been thinking about this for a very long time and I want it to mean something to me because I want Jesus to be enough for me. So as I'm asking this question to you guys, think about your lives and the things that you are involved in and the stuff you say, the stuff you do, if God really is enough. Because I've been thinking about it and child, it's been I've been thinking. So let's look at what enough means. Okay. So enough basically means in or to a degree or quantity that satisfies or that is sufficient or necessary for satisfaction. Okay. That is another way to put it is when you want no more of something, you have enough of it. You don't want any more of that thing or anything else, really, right? Um, in the amount or to the degree needed, as much as is necessary, as much or as much as or more than is wanted. So, in other words, as much as more than is wanted, no more of something in the amount or the degree that is needed, that basically sums up like when you are saying is more than enough, you're saying he's everything that you need because you don't want any more. You don't want anything else. He is it. He is the first and the last. Like he is everything. So when we are singing Jireh, you are enough, we're saying provider, you are enough because you are the provider. Um, you have provided everything that I need, which means if I have you, I have everything because you are enough for me. I don't want more of anything else, right? Because I'm saying, Jerry, you're enough. Or if I'm saying, Jeso Ontikane, I'm saying no matter what happens in my life, right? Like the preacher, the person who wrote the song explains in the story of how his he was in the car and his mother was very sick and they were told that there's nothing they can do. So here he is, a man of God, and he's sitting with his mom, sick mother, and he's taking his mother home to go die. And he was like, Lord, even if I was to lose the love of my life right now, which is my mother, you are enough for me. That's the heart he wrote the song with. Okay. So that's basically what we're saying, that when we've lost everything else, we've lost the most important thing in our life. He is enough because he is everything, or should be everything, because you call him, you're more than enough. You tell him you're more than enough. You tell him he's more than enough. You tell him he is enough. You tell him he's everything that you need. You tell him that you don't need anything else. You don't want anything else. You don't require anything else. So, in other words, you're saying he is the only one that you want, and in him you have the quantity that satisfies. Without him, you have nothing because he is the quantity that satisfies, which means he is enough. So without him, you have nothing. Do you really understand the degree of my everything? The statement, you are my everything. You are enough for me, which means if he's the only thing that I have everything because he is enough. With him, there's nothing else that I'm looking for because he is it. He is the main deal. I don't know if I can express this enough. Oh my word, guys. Allah Satayaba. Okay. All right. So now tell me, um, we have established what enough is, what you are singing. I don't know whether you mean it or whether you don't, now that you understand the magnitude. So now tell me, if you were to lose that best friend, if you were to lose that boyfriend, if you were to lose that job, what is your coping mechanism? What are you going to run to? What is going to make you feel better in that time where when you're going through the grief, the grief, I think it's session, whatever, the time that you're grieving, the time that you are going through the most, what do you turn to? What do you say? Oh, God. What do you say? Because this is a perfect time for you to prove whether you believe in God and you believe that in God you have everything that you require and that He is actually enough for you. This is the time for you to prove whether you mean the worship songs that you sing to Him. Because you know the saying that says action speaks louder than words. Because you are worshiping and you're saying, Jara, you're enough. But when it's time for you to act and prove if it's really enough, what do you do? In that moment when you are like, Lord, I really wanted this thing. I really loved this thing or this person. This is the time for you to prove whether you actually really believe that in Him, in God, you have everything because He is enough for you. This is the time for you to prove that. So don't ever get so attached to anything or to anyone that when you lose it, it changes the value that God has in your life. Let not God lose value because you've lost something or someone. Because you lost your job, all of a sudden God is not the God He says He is. All of a sudden God is not sovereign because you lost your job. Or because you lost that friendship or that relationship, all of a sudden you feel like God is not there. You are diminishing God. God is losing value in your life because of something or someone, simply because you're so attached to that thing, which means God really isn't everything. He isn't really enough for you. If you can lose a person and then all of a sudden you are down and out, you don't believe in God. Why? Is it really enough for you? So do you mean all the stuff you're saying? Or was it just to say so that you can sound like you're worshiping? Guys, Christianity is a relationship. Let him be enough. Oh my goodness. So I was looking at one of the names of God. And I was like, let me look at one of the names of God There's a pastor that came to preach at our church. We had a conference called Kings and Priests, right? And his name is Dr. Teach. And he preached about the God of El Shaddai, right? The God of El Shaddai, El Shaddai. He preached about El Shaddai. And he was like, every day, may you experience El Shaddai. May you wake up every day and experience El Shaddai. I've never forgotten that verse. I've never forgotten that message because I was like, I want to experience the God of El Shaddai every day, right? So now I'm like, there's these amazing words in the Bible that people use and we don't really know the meaning. I was like, let me go check out what El Shaddai means because I want to experience. I understood the message, but I just wanted to I wanted to get a hold of the message a little bit more so I can hold it safe in my heart. Because every day I wake up, I'm like, Lord, may I experience the God of El Shaddai. So I went to look what El Shaddai means, right? Just by the way, El Shaddai is one of 7 covenant names through which God revealed himself to Israel. So in Hebrew, El Shaddai means the all sufficient one or the God who is more than enough. El Shaddai, Allah Sataya, which means He is telling us I'm more than enough for you. And we're singing he's more than enough for us because he told us so, right? But do we actually believe it? Do we actually act like he is more than enough? Personally, if God says something, I'm going to believe it. If Jesus introduced himself as El Shaddai, if he introduced himself as all sufficient, and if he introduced himself as more than enough, I'm going to choose to believe that because the fact that at one point I was stressed out because I was like, the fact that I'm trusted to run my own life is pretty wild to me. And then I realized I don't have to run my own life because I've got God, because I've made that covenant with him. So he tells me that he's more than enough. I will believe him. I will believe, and I will be telling him every day. The idea is that God's power and provision is more than enough to meet any need. There is nothing too difficult for him to accomplish. This is what I wrote down because this is what was literally my moment of prayer. I'm just thinking about it, and it was like, vast because I've been meditating on it. And I was like, if Jesus is more than enough for me, then that means I have everything I need, no matter how little it may be or it may sound. So, whatever that I need, I have it because He's more than enough for me. And I said, because if something is more than enough, it means that it is too much. It is a lot. There is enough for me and some leftovers, which means there's enough to go around, which means that is literally every single thing that I require, plus more to bless others. Because the Bible talks about us being blessed to be we are blessed to be a blessing. The same way Abraham was blessed. It's like you will be a blessed nation, you will be blessed and bless others, right? So we are blessed to be a blessing. So he's more than enough for me, and I was like, that means I have it all. I have every single thing that I need. But I also have extra to bless others because he's more than enough for me. So I have it all. I was sitting there and I had actually just come from work that day and I was sitting down and I was tired, but I was like, God, you are you are everything that I need. Because I remember there was a time I didn't have a job and I was looking for it after studying and I was looking like a job and I was like, this is crazy, man. Like I got good grades in college. I top student and I couldn't get a job. It was everything was just crazy to me. And I was like, and I used to remember I used to sit and I was like, and I would say, God, you're more than enough. Like, for example, the previous episode, I was like, speak it, like, confess. And I was like, and I would sing, and I would say, Lord, you're more than enough for me. Lord, as long as I have you, I know that I have everything. So I'm not going to worry or stress about a job because I have you. And that automatically means that I have everything that I require. And now I was coming home from work and there was no one in the house and I was sitting there. As tired as I was, I started worshiping because I was like, I have you, which means I have everything. So even if this job gets taken away from me, as long as I have you and I trust in my having you, there's nothing that can stress me because I have you. I have everything. There's actually another story. I don't know if I want to say it. But and then obviously I looked at the meaning again as I did. And then I was like, Jesus has outdone himself when it comes to us. Because he is all we need and in him we have all we need. So our Father has outdone. These are thoughts. These are my thoughts, the ones I just read now. These are the thoughts that I was having, and I was like, He has completely outdone Himself when it comes to us. Because He's telling us, I'm more than enough for you. I'm El Shaddai. I'm all sufficient, which means you're good. Just have me and you're good. So sorry that it's so long. I think I'm gonna make it two parts. So okay, so there's a little story. I'm gonna tell you guys a little story and then we can just end it here of of this episode.